Sega.
Hello and welcome to the latest free DLC update for Total War Warhammer. Now this update is going to be dropping alongside the Grim and the Grave DLC on September 1st and introduces a brand new legendary lord, Vlad von Carstein of the Vampire Counts. It also adds 5 new maps that you can play on. Some of them are tied to quest battles for the DLC and some are tied to the free DLC, but all of them are available in custom and multiplayer battle. The Devastation of Ostermark will see Vlad defending against multiple Ostermark armies as you hold the hills and cliffsides. The excavation site for Helman Gorst sees him ambush the followers of Sigmar as soon as they excavate the lost pages of the Liber Noctis. At the Altdorf outskirts, Volkmar the Grim needs to reclaim his staff of command off the cult of Ulrich, though the Emperor is not happy the battle is taking place right outside the gates. At the Void of Helfen, Volkmar's Crusaders have caught the undead traversing the fen and both sides are fighting over the newly opened mine. And then lastly we have the Warpstone Mine, which is a Vlad specific quest battle, which we'll get into now.
Mine puppets! Do me this deed! Purge the area of insects, so thy master can collect this warpstone unchallenged. Ha! If my memory serves. Then I sought out such material in Walheim some centuries ago. Halcyon days, when my minions hunted Wieldstone, and the Empire was in ruins, as it will be again. Fetch me the head of this Strigoi! I would have this nuisance quashed!
So this is one of Vlad von Carstein's quest battles, alongside the Devastation of Ostermark. This is the Warpstone Mine. Now Vlad's hopes of a speedy raid against the mine are thwarted. The site is claimed by a king of the Strigoi and his ghoul swarms, the pathetic legacy of a doomed people that worship Nagash as a god. The creature is unimpressed by the Count, refusing to kowtow to Vlad or to give him leave to take the Warpstone, and Vlad's anger is risen, and so the dead will meet each other in battle. Now remember, all of these maps are available in custom and multiplayer battle to play whenever you wish, however the quest battles are tied to either the free DLC or the DLC. Alright, so before we get down into the battle itself, I thought it would be a good time to take a look at Vlad von Carstein and see what he brings to the Vampire Counts. So he has some pretty fundamental changes to gameplay, and he's also a beautiful looking dude with no nose. I mean, you probably don't want one if you've been dead that long anyway. He has the Siege Attacker Attribute, and all units in Vlad von Carstein's army receive Vanguard Deployment. So these are two really big changes to gameplay for how you're going to play as the Vampire Counts. This means that when you siege a town, you no longer have to wait for siege equipment to be built. You can just attack outright if you're using Vlad. And he also has the Vanguard Deployment trait, but we don't see that right now because we're not playing within the campaign. It's not active for custom and multiplayer battles from the front end UI, but it's only active in campaign. But that means that all of your units will be able to deploy outside of the normal deployment zones. So it's quite a powerful thing to have active in your campaign. Now, we've just started the battle. Beware that the Strigoi King has been granted special powers by Nagash, through which he may resurrect his minions indefinitely. So here we've got Leopold Dreska, the Strigoi Ghoul King, and yeah, he's probably not the best looking dude. I mean, he's also jammed a bone through his nose, so he also can't smell anything. And then over here we have the Mortis Engine. So this is a really interesting and unique unit. This unit can actually damage people around it without even touching them. It's got an area of effect damage spell that's constantly active, and it has regeneration on itself, alongside some other magical buffs and debuffs. Alright, so let's begin the battle. Now that Mortis Engine is going to be a very high threat unit that you want to take out kind of early. So I've got 3 units of Blood Knights and 2 units of Direwolves over on the right hand side, and I'm going to move them over as far to the right as possible, crossing the Warpstone asteroid path, moving straight towards the Mortis Engine. Now these guys arrived in a patch a while ago as free LC. They are your anti-large shock cavalry for the Vampire Counts, but they're quite brooding and slow and might take a little while to get over there, so get them moving now. In the center, I'm just going to move up straight over to the kind of dip where the asteroid has left this large scar across the terrain, and we're just kind of moving everyone up over to the left. Now, I've played this battle multiple times, and I've only ever beaten it once, so it's genuinely a hard battle, and if you don't want it spoiled for you, what few tricks it has up its sleeves, then I would just wait till September 1st and play it as soon as your game updates. So I'll talk about a little bit why it's so clever. Now, apart from the fact that it's on one of the best looking maps in the game, in my opinion, we've got the enemy Strigoi Ghoul King on the other side, and he's got a very unique spell that he's able to cast. he's got the Servants of Nagash. Now that means that any unit that has hit points lower than 20%, he can spawn a unit of Graveguard on them and kill the unit itself. So let's say he's got all these nice cushy bats coming towards me and the bats are at 20% health, he'll just kill them and raise Graveguard in their spot, and we'll see this multiple times. His cooldown is only about 20 seconds on this, however it is subject to balancing at the moment, so trying to work out what's a good line between difficulty and impossibility. But at the moment it's at a pretty good spot, but I think it's going to get a little bit even harder than where it is now. So we'll see this come into effect. The problem with this is he can even do it on the units that he's raised. So let's say his Graveguard that he's newly raised are about to die. He can raise new Graveguard on that. So it becomes exponentially difficult, which means that we got to take out the guy who's casting the spells. So we have to take out Leopold. Now it looks like the Mortis Engine has actually moved off to the left a little bit. So we're going to keep chasing that with the Blood Knights, because they're the ones that are ideal for killing it. Now, Leopold's original army here is mostly just kind of this mushy army, mostly made up of Crypt Horrors, Crypt Ghouls, Bats, and Direwolves. No really armored troops, nothing really wielding a sword or anything like that. So at first we'll have quite an easy time of taking them down, but it's going to get exponentially more difficult as time goes on, so we really need to track him down. So he is actually running in the middle of my Blood Knights right now, which is a bit silly, but we don't want to stop and take him down. We're going to do very, very little damage. Of course, he is a Ghoul King, so he's going to regenerate. And the amount of damage you can do with Blood Knights, it's going to be cancelled out almost completely by his regeneration. The only way to really beat him is to use Vlad von Carstein himself in hand-to-hand combat, because he's very powerful. So you can see that he's just after raising one unit now, but we've got Vlad heading straight towards him, and Vlad is a really powerful melee fighter, so he should be able to do good damage. We've bogged down the Mortis Engine as well, far away from the battle, which is good. But you can see straight away Leopold is casting another spell. His Fellbats, he's just basically murdered them and risen Graveguard in his place, and it looks so cool when that happens. The way the bats come down at the same time as the guys come up, it just looks really, really good. It looks like they're transferring life, well, death, from one to the other. So we've got our vampire hero and Vlad in kind of hand-to-hand combat with him, and we're just going to have to leave him there and cast Spirit Leech as much as we can on him to try and kill him. Now the Mortis Engine has been completely bogged down and it's just gotten killed. When it goes down, it actually does cause little explosions which do kill or damage units around it, so you want to be careful that if you've like a Lord nearby and you're trying to take down a Mortis Engine, that maybe if he's on low health, keep him out of there. So at this point I'm feeling pretty confident, you know, things are going good. Leopold's in combat, our guys are winning according to the UI, and the Mortis Engine's been taken down. Not too many Graveguard have been raised just yet, just about 2 or 3 units I think so far. Now even if Leopold is in combat, which he's trying to pull out of here, he's probably trying to regenerate. He's about 80% health at the moment. Even if he's in combat, he can still cast that spell. His cooldown's only about 20 to 25 seconds, so he can do it very, very quickly. So you almost don't want to kill other units, because you're just creating Graveguard for yourself. So I'm trying to keep everyone kind of out of combat, or just holding the line essentially while they attack, while I go for Leopold himself. And all the while I'm constantly throwing Spirit Leech at him, like constantly. It almost just kind of cancels out his regeneration. He's got quite powerful regeneration. Now my Blood Knights, I'm trying to figure out where I can bring them. They keep getting bogged down by the Cudgel Infantry. We've got some air combat going on. My Vargheists are fighting their bats. And we've got some of our own Graveguard waiting. I've held them in reserve to fight enemy Graveguard, so you don't want to waste them too early on. They're the only armor-piercing units we have, is the Karn Wraiths and the Graveguard with great weapons, so they're very important to keep alive towards the end of the battle, to deal with all the Graveguard that you're going to come across. Same with the Hex Wraiths that we have. So Leopold is now down on about 40% health. We're working away at him. More Spirit Leeches and everything. This really is how you win this battle. The most times you play this, people don't really realize that this is kind of what you're supposed to do. Most times I played it, or when people in the studio played it, we'd kind of just like fight the enemy, keep fighting, and try to kill him with regular units. Honestly, if you put Graveguard against Leopold, he's not even going to feel it. He's just going to regenerate like quicker than you can do anything about it. So this is like really the best way to do it, I feel. So we've got some Graveguard against our Graveguard down there. Their Crypt Horrors is kind of bogging down some of our smaller infantry, and we're getting a bit low on health as well. Things are going pretty good. And Leopold is down, so that's it. No more Graveguard now. So now this is at the point where I was very confident in victory, so I can obviously reveal to you that I've only won this battle one time, and this is the time I won it. So basically, now that he's dead, he can't raise any more Graveguards. Sometimes, actually, it's really interesting, when he's about to die, he will kill himself to raise Graveguard in his stead, which is really weird, but it's pretty cool. Right, so now we just need to kind of get everyone back into where they need to be, bring the Hex Rates in against the Graveguard to do their armor-piercing damage, and yeah, we should be golden. Now, a lot of you might be saying to yourself, Darren, this seems really easy. You're trying to just oversell this like piece of free LC. This seems like quite an easy battle with a cool concept, but you know, didn't seem like you had any challenge. To be honest, if you do everything perfectly like this, it isn't that difficult, and I think it's actually going to be buffed or balanced a bit more to make it a little bit more challenging for those who know exactly how to win it. But I did play this maybe 20 times and only win it one time, and I'm pretty sure it was actually impossible last week before it got nerfed a little bit. So changes are ongoing, subject to change, so you might see it might be harder, it might be more units or slightly different units by the time it comes out on September 1st. But it is still one of the most enjoyable battles I've had. The sense of dread as you're fighting Leopold and Graveguard are just spawning all over the map is really, really fun. And the fact that he can just regenerate if you're not constantly in combat with him makes it even more difficult. So that's the battle, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. The 5 maps, remember, are coming all part of free LC as multiplayer and custom battles, and some of them will be for Vlad. The Devastation of Ostermark is the other quest battle for Vlad, where you'll be defending against multiple Ostermark armies as you hold the hills and cliffsides. So that's all coming on September 1st. Let us know in the comments below what you think of this, and we'll see you in the next one.